Hey there race fans and welcome to Let's Talk F1 here on the ModzCity channel. We'll dissect the twists and turns of the F1 season from the paddock to the podium and share our thoughts. This is Let's Talk F1. In today's episode I'll cover three main areas: Miami and Lando's first win, Adrian Newey exiting Red Bull, and the driver market heating up. What a weekend in Miami. The sprint race did bring much excitement, as did the main race on Sunday. Huge congrats to Lando on his very first win. Mega drive from him. For truly deserved, well done and executed race. McLaren had huge luck with the safety car after the incident with Magnussen and Logan Sargent. Yet another 10-second penalty over the race weekend for Kevin, but more on that in a second. Let's talk about quali. Poor performance from Ricciardo after a brilliant sprint race, finishing in 4th place and keeping the likes of Carlos Sainz and Oscar Piastri at bay. What happened in quali? Was it the car or track conditions? Seems to be a far drop in performance to drop out in Q1 and qualify 18th before taking penalties from the Chinese race and starting 20th. What do you think happened to Daniel? Let us know in the comments below. Kevin Magnussen was a bit out of control in the sprint race. Black and white flag, not one but two 10-second penalties and an additional 5-second penalty. It was ridiculous, to be honest. But props to Yuki to take advantage of the Magnussen and Hamilton battle. After Hamilton passed Yuki, he got a 20-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that was 1 point to Yuki. Very good performance from Ricciardo on finishing 4th in the sprint race, as we mentioned. Well deserved. Even Carlos Sainz had to give him a thumbs up after the sprint. Mercedes has certainly disappointed in the sprint quali, finishing 11th and 12th for the sprint race. George taking the 11th spot on the grid over his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Most of the drivers seem to have been struggling with the track conditions. The heat was certainly immense, tires not in the right temperature zone. We saw Charles have a spin in FP1, making his practice come to an end, and there was a tailwind on the back straight, throwing off a lot of the drivers, such as Max and Yuki, who both had spins and events in that corner. And even the wall at the end of the interesting S-turns was a consistent hit for the drivers, with Lewis, Alonso and Danny Rick reporting back to the team about coming into contact with the wall. Martin Brundle had a session with George prior to the race weekend getting underway and reported that the purple color on the sponsor signage, I believe it's Qatar Airways, makes it more difficult to navigate the wall and how close you are in terms of distance from it as compared to the bright yellowed DHL signs closer to the straight exit. That's an interesting observation from George, no doubt, one that many drivers I don't think would think twice about. Should Miami Grand Prix track be redirected to avoid that horrible S-turn and then a wall at the exit of the corner? Maybe. Moving on to McLaren, I must say I was impressed by Lando's track dominance on the medium tire, with Max only being dominant on literally one corner for the entire Miami track in FP1. Then came sprint quali on the softs, the faster tire, and Lando finishes in 9th to start the sprint race. That was very odd given the number and slew of changes they brought to the car. Maybe they were getting in tune with it. Not sure Zach Brown would be too happy with the direction of the car in sprint quali. I agreed with the F1 commentary which emphasized that the risk of changing so many things at once rather than step by step seems to be working against Lando at the moment, with Oscar, while having few upgrades, came out on top for the sprint quali in 6th. But now we know much that the upgrades paid off. After all, Lando got his very first F1 win ever, a very impressive run for Danny Rick also, finishing sport in the sprint quali. Is the Honey Badger making a comeback? We don't know, or was this a one-time deal? Yuki had a tough sprint quali as well. For some time now has been out qualifying Daniel, but unfortunately for him, not this time around. Which is weird because of the stellar performance from Daniel to qualify P4 for the sprint. So what was up with Yuki's car? I don't know. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think something was off with Yuki or the car? The hottest topic in F1 right now is that of Adrian Newey leaving the Red Bull team and where he will be heading in the future. Many favorites have it that he will move to Ferrari to work alongside Lewis and Charles and be a huge benefit to the boys in red. Or will he go to Williams, as rumors suggest he has been in discussions with James Vowles, but only brief talks were had. Wouldn't it be a shock if he just comes out and says, hey, I'm retiring? After all, he will be 66 years old come December, day after Christmas in fact, and he has his family to think about. That's a lot of traveling for an elderly person. A key element in the Williams team back in the late 80s and early 90s, he was a wealth of experience to the team and in F1 over 2 decades. Any team would be lucky to have him, as Lewis hinted at recent interviews, What would be my pick for Adrian? Honestly, I don't think he'll go to Ferrari, but rather possibly Aston Martin. Hear me out. Recall that Adrian was a key component to the Aston Martin Valkyrie build and has very good relations with the team. Will he go to Aston Martin? I don't know. I believe that is a strong possibility, but where do you think Adrian will end up in the future of F1? Let us know your thoughts in the comment below. Before we move on, be sure to check out our merch online. We have different styles, different varieties to find the car merch that suits you and suits your style. We also have our hoodies that are going fast, so grab one today. That's ModzCity.com. Back to F1. The driver market is getting tense every week, and as every race progresses, we see Nico Hülkenberg being the first to announce a switch to Kick Sauber for next season, which will be rebranded as Audi. This surely gives other opportunities to explore the drivers, so they would have different options, such as Carlos from Ferrari, Valtteri coming out of Kick Sauber. Maybe they will pick him over Joe. So who goes to Haas? Your thoughts in the comment. Might be too early to decide for that one, but I'd still like to know your comments. Who goes to Haas? Still no word on Lewis's replacement, but if you had to guess, maybe Sainz would be a good fit for the Merc Garage. Check out our previous episode where we shed some light on that and give our opinions on the topic. That's all the time we have for this episode of Let's Talk F1. Until next time, drive safe.